Get
Lee's
your
plan is
carbine.
to occupy those hills on the other side so that when our people get here, Lee will have the high ground. There'll be the devil
Reload.
the high ground. We have 2,500 men.
I can almost
They'll
see
be
it.
coming in force. There'll be 20,000 coming down that road.
Go.
Our scouts have told me that these men believe us to be local militia. Now let's use that to our advantage. If we can hold this ridge for a couple of hours, we can keep them away long enough for Reynolds and the infantry to get here. We can block the road till the main body arrives. We can deprive the enemy of the high ground.
But only God knows their exact whereabouts. Luckily, that will be of little concern to us, as our dear General Lee and his staff will worry about the location of the Yankee hosts. Have to see to our own task. Our division has been dispatched towards Gettysburg, a village a few miles to the east of our current position. Many roads meet at Gettysburg, making it vital to capture in order for troop movements and supply lines to be established while we operate in hostile territory. Of course, there is some rumors about plentiful stores of food and lots of shoes, which I'm sure will please many of you. And take our prize.
Quiet to the rugs.
Pickets have reported that they have spotted a small body of troops, most likely some federal cavalry under Buford and some local militia, eager for a beating, which has positioned itself in between us and the town itself. It should not be more than one brigade, so I expect you to make quick work of them. Rush them and drive these cavaliers off the field, like the nuisance that they are to our mighty army of Northern Virginia. Onward, onto Gettysburg!
Noch ein bisschen nach rechts.
Gentlemen,
Shoot this fucking dude.
looks like we've arrived just in time, men. Forward then, Iron Brigade! Forward, for God's sake! Drive those traitors off our land! Huzzah!
Yes, you fine gentlemen. The sun's still high, it is hot, and it will only get hotter today. We're all tired after yesterday's hard fighting, but I can happily tell you of our efforts that they were not in vain, and that the enemy has been pushed out of the town completely. But...
All right, here we are live for tonight's War of Rights Weekly podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about if small regiments are good for War of Rights. That's the main topic, of course, but we will talk about really anything related to War of Rights. If you have any questions that you want answered by the panel, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll get to those at the end of the video. Yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. Go beneath the video, hit the join button if you want to financially support the channel. You can see all the perks and prices there, like getting videos before everyone else. It's great. So, Shade, what a great first question in the chat there. So, speaking of which, let's go through and introduce people. Shade?
Hello, 24 Georgia Minor Shade, part of the AMV.
We got Scoins.
I'm Scoins of the 59th New York.
Irish.
I'm Irish of 4th Kentucky and the Orphans Brigade.
We got Chris Moto.
Not a word.
Yeah, we can't
He's
hear
dead.
you.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Captain in the 4th Kentucky and OB, best brigade out there. Biggest brigade. Love it. Love everybody here. Let's have fun.
Killer.
Hi, Colonel Killer of the Mississippi Brigade. If any artillerymen or infantry are looking for a brigade, join the Mississippi Brigade.
Pause.
Thank you.
We went from, we got super chats a couple weeks ago, people recruiting their regiments, and now we got people in the chat. Provost here recruiting for his reg. We also got Corded.
Corded, captain of the Chosen Men of Delta Company, in 6th Louisiana, part of 2nd Corps.
So, that, like, scripted?
Huh? Wow. I just go backwards through my name.
Sorry, Eagle. Carry
No,
on.
you're good. No, I mean, it works. It's great. It's beautiful. Sweet. So, yeah. So our small regiment's good for War of Rights. Came up with this topic because I was in a conversation with Sevi, and Sevi said when he first joined War of Rights, he was a part of a small reg, hated it, left the game for a while, and only came back for, I think, Pixelated Apollo's Reg 14th Brooklyn or whatever. I don't know why, but he said a small reg almost made him leave the game. We also see certain small regiments in the community today that affect the game poorly. So, yeah, example can be the Shenandoah Valley Regulars in my mind. But,
wow.
Yeah. No, the reason being, right, they just go off, they kind of do their own thing. You don't know what they're doing. They don't communicate in Steam chat. It can be bad sometimes. Also, just smaller regs, if there's a lot of them, it can be hard to communicate effectively. I think, though, Ghost of Antietam, you guys have a lot of regiments on each side. How many regiments do you guys have?
Depends on if it's Wednesday or Saturday, but I would say like minimum is like 10 aside.
Okay.
Wow.
That's because normally, at least the events I'll cover, we'll probably have a good 5-6 at max on each side. I know you guys don't use Steam chat. How do communications, do they go well in GOA? Are they poor, or does it just depend on the week and who's on what team?
It is heavily dependent on, map restrictions and everything like that. A lot of it kind of comes down to planning, I think. We don't use Steam chat, so on-field communication has to be on point 24/7. When we organize, we usually try and do a bigger regiment with 1 or 2 smaller regiments. So, they kind of, the smaller regiments kind of orbit around like the bigger line groups, and that seems to work really well. They tend to act as like flank guards, runners, scouts, and that sort of thing. So that's sort of how they're utilized with what we do. And you can, 5 guys in the right place, I think, can do a lot more damage than 20 guys in the wrong place.
All right, thanks. So, yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, though, 5 guys is nearly the same amount of bloody ticket loss as a 20-man line.
Correct.
It's definitely like, I would say, higher risk, high reward, because you get down to those out-of-line tickets a lot faster when you're a smaller group. And, that's why when we bring in these smaller groups into Ghost of Antietam, we kind of pair them up with a larger group so they can have somebody to sort of play off of and use as like, I guess, a rally point or a home base. And that way those out of line tickets usually aren't as prevalent on the field. Excuse me. It really does depend on like what the unit is, what their play style is, whether they're just really, really good shots like 7th South Carolina, or if they're really good at holding ground like 14th Indiana, or
Good
if they're
counter
kind of
battery, like SO.
sorry, what?
Good
Oh no, not the counter battery.
Good
Oh,
counter
gosh.
battery, like SO.
Oh my.
I'm just
Are you
trying
talking
to
about
white
like?
eagle it. So we were doing I did a Friday NA like broadcast a couple like last week. Was it last week or the week before? I can't remember. Oh, it was the week before.
2 weeks ago.
And we were doing roulette lane. And SR has this habit of standing by the White House and shooting at the Union artillery all game.
Yep.
Which
I saw that. Saw that rant too.
Hey,
Absolutely legendary, by the way.
I thought that rant was gonna be so like gonna cause a lot of havoc, but I didn't get a single bad comment about it. I was panicked when I messaged Eagle and I was like, you might want to check that rant and make sure it's okay. But I think it got the views. Got the views up.
I mean, it was good and true. So.
Hey man, it worked. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to small regiments, there are some regiments that are small, like PA, Pennsylvania Army, for example, Ninjas guys. They're like one of the most aggressive regiments that I know, and in my opinion, obviously every regiment messes up at a certain point. We're not all perfect, even big ones, small ones, and it doesn't matter how big or small you are, you still end up messing up. But when smaller regiments mess up, it's kind of it can have a bigger effect than a bigger line messing up, because at least a bigger line, if they get caught off guard in a charge, can still do a lot more damage. If a small skirmish group of like 7 guys gets caught off guard, they're just gonna get wiped before they even kill like 3 guys. But like PA, they're a pretty good unit. Like I trust them. Like there's some regiments that I don't really trust on their own, but obviously there's nothing I can do about it.
I'm gonna be honest. Like when we're an event court and we're doing the event courts here, no one wants to be the group that, if you're bringing, like now, when I bring like 5 to 7 guys or whatever to an event like the EU events with you, Killer, I'm going to throw them in with you guys because it just makes sense to have them there. It makes sense to be in that group, follow the group, because the group is going to make a difference. If I go off and take these guys off on my own, yeah, maybe I'm going off to the flank, but I'm not any more than 25 yards away from the main group there because I don't want to take the losses. But when you're in the event court and you see all these little groups that are put together to form one side, you're just like, oh, hell no, I don't want that to be me. I don't want to be in all those little groups because it's a cluster. It's a cluster in the Steam chat. No one wants to listen. You're all arguing your own points. I don't want to deal with it. Just give me a big group. I'd rather have the big group. Big group is going to dictate the game. I'm sorry, a 5 to 7 player line is not going to dictate the game. It's the bigger groups. A 5 to 7 player line that keeps on doing stupid shit, excuse my language, off on the side, keeps losing you tickets, is going to crush you.
This is why I brought Scoins here, Eagle.
It's beautiful.
I mean, I think that's a valid point. Like, something that I really talk about is, just to kind of reinforce your point. If you're a small group and you're like an island on the battlefield, you're just wasting, your guys' times because you're getting, fucked over and, wasting tickets because you're not being effective. Like, you should, if you're bringing 5 to 10 guys, you should be very, very close to like a 20-man unit. So you have, somebody to fall back on and cover your ass. It's kind of, I think that's how they should be used. And I think a lot of these groups that, run these smaller regiments kind of understand that. We kind of have like default pairings. Like a good example is like 1st Mass and 4th New Jersey. Like they play off each other all the time. And, if they didn't do that, they wouldn't be nearly as effective on the field. But because of, they've cultivated that partnership and that chemistry, they're incredible. And they play like one regiment, even though they're separate.
But you said it right there. They're one regiment. So, like, if they're playing together constantly and they're working together, that's different because they sort of form one unit. It's
Yeah.
no
Would you
different
say
than all the
it's,
groups forming into Sussy.
Would you say it's better if two smaller regiments group together, or a big regiment is grouped with a smaller regiment?
It depends on if, I guess, the egos. You know, I know.
Yeah, smaller regiments have like little dog syndrome.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I think,
Napoleon syndrome.
yeah.
Especially you, Killer. Especially you.
yeah,
I think when
exactly.
some groups first get started, if they haven't been in the community at all, if they weren't in a regiment before, and this, I know this is such a weird thing to even mention, but if you just form a regiment and you just throw colonel tags on yourself, I don't think people are going to take you as seriously. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's fake letters on the internet. Who gives a shit? But if you're a smaller group and you're like, a colonel or a lieutenant colonel or God forbid a general, no one's going to take you seriously, and your ego's way too big for being a team player.
Generals in general are just cringe, no matter how big the unit is that they have.
That
Yeah.
to a point.
No, just the whole way through. The whole way through.
Well, we don't talk about Major General Piletti.
Mhm.
Oh, there's too many generals, honestly. Like one guy made himself general, and then all of the other big units with egos the size of like Mount Everest made themselves generals just so they could be on the same level, which was hilarious. Like, was like one time in like 2020 when everyone made themselves generals. It was quite
Yeah.
funny. They've been like
But
that ever since.
but if you have like two groups that are of the same size and they're familiar with each other and the guys in charge get along, I think that's probably going to work a little bit better than, a big group and a small group, just because, they get along and they understand how each other play. But if they don't, I would say, if it's an unknown unit for whatever reason, I think a small group and a big group for sure,
I
because
mean, like
the larger group can kind of help
it,
them and dictate stuff.
like in ANV, we're a majority European regiment. Like in EU, we bring around like 25 to 30. At NA, we bring like, with our artillery, it's like 15 to 20. But normally we have between 10 and 15 infantry. So like we're a lot smaller on the NA side than we are on the EU side. On the EU side, we have smaller units like the 59th guys because they're an NA, mainly NA unit. They come and play with us, or we have like some PA guy. Like last week, we had some PA guys with us because the rest of the guys were at Gettysburg and stuff. And then at NA, I end up working with the likes of people like Hood's Division and stuff because I'm smaller and it's easier to coordinate with regiments that I trust that are bigger than working with a bunch of smaller regiments because it's so much easier. Like, you guys don't use Steam chats and GOA and stuff, do you?
No.
We don't know.
Do you do any events with Steam chats?
When 4th Kentucky first started, we did an event with Steam Chat. I don't remember what it was. Maybe
It's never
maybe
fun.
HTC or something like that.
Oh, God.
I left with such a headache I could never do it again. It was just it was too much, dude. It's so many people. It's just a big pissing contest. Every time I've been in a Steam Chat, it's just a pissing contest.
NA is a lot worse than EU in Steam chats. NA Steam chats are just horrible because, like, I'm not even gonna lie. I have an ego. Okay, I have a fairly large ego.
Really?
And oh yeah, I have a pretty.
As a regiment leader, I
Bro,
think
I
you
know.
have to have an ego, to be fair.
Yeah, but NA regiments have bigger. No matter the size of the regiment, the ego is like they're all at the same tier. It's kind of based.
That's America, baby.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
America.
yeah. It's like the land of the free over there in the bloody Steam chat. It's horrible.
God, Hankel makes this terrible joke all the time because, 6 New York, his unit is mostly like European based. So,
Yeah.
when we're ripping on each other, he'll be like, "I'll take my 6 guys and I'll go somewhere else." Like, I think you just have to accept, where you're at and what you're doing, and kind of just lean into being a small group if you are a small group. But
I have a question. Why are you a small group, though? Are you not willing to put forth the effort? Do you lead it that you can't get anyone else in it because you annoy too many people? I mean, if your group's not building up into a larger group, I think that's sort of an introspective question
Actually,
you got to ask yourself.
I disagree with that. Sometimes building a community in this game can be harder than you think, especially with a lot of people. Like recruiting in pubs has gotten a lot worse than it used to be. I think everybody can agree with that. Staying a small group is not about if people don't like you or not. It's about, if they can get lucky enough to find people that will join.
It also
I think pretty
depends.
much it.
Like new regiments, like you'll see a regiment that'll start, and then like 3 weeks later they're up to like 10, 15 guys because they're new, so they've got that kind of like motivation to like get out there and recruit every single day,
The honeymoon
every week.
phase.
Yeah, and then but like regiments that have been around for years, like we've been a thing since like 2020, and you get guys that get a lot like really comfortable in their position, and they kind of just come play the events, and that's it.
Right.
They don't really give a crap about doing public matches or recruiting, all that stuff, and that's kind of like just how it is. And you can't really force people to try and recruit. It's kind of like if people don't want to recruit, they don't want to recruit. If you try and force them, they're just gonna be like, oh, this is terrible, and then they'll just hate the game even more. It's my opinion on it.
I think you can, cultivate a really, if you're in a regiment and you are a smaller group and you're sort of struggling to get, your other officers or NCOs or whoever it is to go out there and recruit, you got to lead by example for this. Because if you're not out there putting in the work, then why the hell would anybody else? If the person at the top should be doing the absolute most, and if an NCO or one of your junior officers is outpacing you, that's not, you shouldn't kick your feet up and be like, oh, they'll do this, so I don't have to. You should, take that as a challenge and really just lean into it.
I don't know. I think it's the job of an NCO or even an officer if they want to recruit to go do it. I don't think that. Are you trying to imply that people like Killer should be going out there recruiting a lot?
I mean, I used to recruit. I mean, I've got like 4,200 hours in War of Rights because I used to pub every single day, like religiously, like 4 hours a day. I'd be playing War of Rights. Sometimes I'd be doing like 2 hours in between like the EU and the NA events, and I'd be recruiting all the time. I can't really do that much anymore because like it just gets tiring. But like, yeah, it's.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've built yourself a pretty good name, a pretty good player base. I've seen your EU numbers, what you bring, but that doesn't happen by sitting back.
No, not anymore. And like I get on every now and again. We get some recruits. Like me and Gareth yesterday were testing some pistol qualifications in drill camp, and we got some people joining the drill camp, and we just recruited them from there. But it's kind of like I don't pretty much get on and do like dedicated recruiting anymore. I'll just go on and do some pubbing, do some shooting at like long distance, whatever, and then if I catch up on a random guy lurking in the forest, I'll go grab him and recruit him.
That sounds horrible out of context, by the way.
Oh yeah. Someone's just joined the stream at this the wrong time and just talking about me catching people lurking in the forest. But you know what? you got to do what you got to do, man. The times are tough. But the Steam sale's coming out on Thursday, so you know what? Hopefully there's some fresh meat coming out into the community.
More meat for the grinder.
That's true.
Yeah, pub servers are going to be on the boomer.
So Justin Morgan made a great comment. He said, way too many small groups recruiting. So a lot of people will see War of Rights, Civil War, big lines, big groups moving together, volleying, charging. It looks amazing. It's cinematic, right? You're a part of it. It feels great. Do you think by having a lot of small regiments in this game, because over time more and more of these have appeared as more people are playing the game, but do you think that can be harmful to the game as a whole, having a lot of smaller regiments that cannot, on their own?
It's not even more and more people, though. It's not even more and more people. It's people not being able, like, they can't put their egos to one side for more than 5 minutes. And then, so you'll get these regiments that'll start, they'll get a nice sort of group of around, like, 10 to 20 guys. And then that, the leader and his XO who we recruited, who has 10 hours in the game and made him a lieutenant colonel, then, they then fall out, and then that regiment splits in two. So then you have one small regiment that is now two small regiments, and it just has a domino effect. And that's why back in like 2020, 2021, everything was ran by like, big units against big units. It was like a kind of good immersive time.
Was that directed towards me?
No. And now there's like a million.
Definitely was.
There's a million different regiments, and it's like there's not enough recruits to get all these regiments to a good size where it's like keeps the immersion during some events.
And I sort of
feel like that was
that.
directed at me, man. I'm cool.
I mean, no, you could see it as other things too. Like, I mean, when I was with 9th Corps, I mean, we had a good sized group of 51st, good sized group of 9th, and you'd bring like anywhere up to 70 people a night, and that group dictates a server. They dictate. It's their people are going to fall in line with what they decide to do for the strategies. They're not sort of gonna, oh no, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. It's not so many different egos in there. It's just this is what it is. We're part of the same group. This is a strat that we're pulling off, and this is what we're gonna do. And quite frankly, with strategies, you're pulling off wins that you never knew you could do, like things like cooks, because everyone's listening. And now with all the small units, oh, I just want to go waste my tickets out there. You're never winning cooks. You're never winning anything like that. It's not organized. It's a shit show in the Steam chats for the NA events, and it's just not worth it to me.
Have you like the? I guess it's like, and I know this sounds insane, but it's like the small business argument is like, most small businesses fail within like the first 2 years. Obviously, that's way shrink down for like War of Rights time. I think it's like 2 months. Like, if a regiment can make it past 2 months, they're probably going to be around for a bit unless, there's a coup d'etat, which is very common, especially on the CSA side for whatever reason. I feel like there's a new CSA regiment every 9 days. It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, you guys all know Knight, don't you?
Like, yeah,
we know.
I'm extremely intimate with that guy.
He'll make a regiment, and he'll build it up to a pretty good number, right? And I dig him for that. He manages to build a regiment pretty fast, and then he kills it because he can't keep his internal shit together. That splits off into 2 groups. Like, how many different groups has Knight made, which has made other groups? Like, out of his 8 regiments he's had, out of his 8 regiments he's made in total, there's now 16 new regiments because all of his XOs keep splitting off from him.
But most of the time, and that's it's always, it's just one of those things you got to keep an eye on. Really the only group, at least within recent memory, that I'm super aware of that is broken off and is a thing is 7th LA with Captain Cajun. That's the only one I know that's still up and running, but
it's only been around for a month or 2.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you got to get over that 2-month hump.
I mean, we're going on we're going on our first month, so yeah, I know how that is.
We're not allowed to talk about that.
Oh,
that honeymoon phase starts to wear off.
Means going to have to stay quiet.
88th New York also broke out of IVB, and they're still going.
They're actually probably going stronger out of IVB.
They are, because their big thing was they wanted to recruit NA players, and Collector was like, no, NA players are going to go in the 69th, EU are going to go in 88th. And then EU guy recruited an NA guy, and then the NA guy went to the 69th, 88th threw a fit, and then left because of it. Even though 69th, the NA side has recruited for EU for how many years? But
yeah, I mean, the way that 10th, A and V structure, we have 10th Alabama, 1st Alabama, our 3rd NC Cav, and then the 24th Georgia Volunteers, which is just a volunteer group of people who just want to come play the game every now and again.
Volunteer.
And it's the best.
I'm actually not a volunteer.
Oh no, you're a minor. But in 10th we have our A companies North American, our B companies European, but we still have some North Americans and Europeans in either one, because if you're an NA guy and you work nights, you can't attend NA events. So if you're only going to turn up to EU events, you may as well just be in the EU company. So you get put on their attendance and all that stuff. Same with the NA or EU guys who can only come to 1 a.m. events, which is kind of mad. Oh yeah, Eagle, at some point I do need to read Bus's statement.
Oh.
He just reminded me.
There's a good statement in there.
Is it a good time to put it in, you think, or?
Oh, I put it near a little bit off, but I was reading Tom L. I think big regiments also have the responsibility to take the smaller regiments under their wing. Do they really? Yeah. Do we have a responsibility to teach you how to play this game? I mean, you're a small unit. You should know how to play it. If a bigger group is bigger, they've done what they needed to do to make the group the way it is. Can they teach you the game? Yes, but bringing you in under them, they don't want to lose their people to you, and they shouldn't have to. And it is not our responsibility to show you how to play the game, but it is. It doesn't mean that someone can't, help you out with strategies and stuff, teach you what has worked, let's face it, all the old head knows what strategies work and stuff. They know what's going on. You can't rewrite War of Rights. We know what works, and we know what fails miserably. You always get that new guy in your unit who's like, I'm going to try this. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you're like, dude, it's already been done. There's nothing new you're bringing to the table, unfortunately. We've already tried it, and whether it worked well or whether it failed, if you're not doing it in the battle, it's because it failed miserably.
I have an exact opposite opinion of you. I don't think we have a responsibility to, do everything for a small unit. But if you're a large organization or a large group, and someone's coming to you for advice or help or how to navigate the War of Rights community, because the War of Rights community is an entire community on itself. It's
that is different
from anything else.
That's different from what I'm saying. So we don't have a differing opinion. You're saying something different.
Are you only talking about Battlefield stuff, Scorns, or are you talking about back-end stuff?
I'm talking about Battlefield stuff. I'm not talking about the back end of the community. You want to know the community? Hey, you know what? We'll show you the event Discord. We'll walk you around. We'll show you what works. We'll show you what places maybe you could advertise to maybe get yourself built up. We'll show you all of that. I'm happy to go over that with anyone.
For example, like yesterday, there was a regiment that started, like the 1st Alabama Cavalry. And I already have a 1st Alabama Cavalry in A&V. So I just spoke to the guy and I was like, honestly, I couldn't necessarily care whether or not you keep or change your name. I just wanted to let you know in case, things get confused at any point. And then he offered to change his name to 2nd Alabama. And I was like, yeah, I'd appreciate that. That would be great. And then I asked him if he, wanted help getting into events and stuff and all that sort of stuff. And
right, that's to be expected. That's something you should do.
Yeah, but it's
so
just
you're
like...
saying... I'm sorry, go ahead.
When it comes to like back end community stuff that you're talking about, help. If you help them out and then they like you and then they trust you, then they're more likely to then work with you in events. Is my kind of thing with it.
Yeah.
Apart from when I'm shitting on small units and Battleline Network, then
Got to pay the overhead.
Yeah, you're ruining my events, Eagle.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Realistically, if you're creating a small unit, shouldn't you know something about the game already?
Yes, you should.
You should.
Not all the time.
I think you should know something. I mean, there's enough regiments in this community to go start off with if you really need that experience, but you shouldn't start a regiment if you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah,
I'm not here to help you.
You'll drive people away from the game, too, if you make a regiment, start recruiting people, and you don't know what the heck you're doing, right? You have poor leadership, whatever. People are going to leave the game.
And then you're going to alienate the community already.
Yeah, I don't... 27th North Carolina? The group that came over from Roblox?
Oh, yeah. They were quite big.
Oh, my God.
They were big.
Yeah, they were like 20, 25 guys. Yeah, and then I think they played one. It was might have been Maryland campaign event, and we were on Maryland Heights, and they were Union. Oh no, they were CSA, and we were on the Union, and they lined up like below the hill, just in a big long line in the road, and started like line battling it.
No.
And just got wrecked. They got trashed on 2-0, and we never saw them ever again.
Dang.
I think there's some like transferable skills though if you're coming from like a different community that's similar to War of Rights. I know. Yeah, I know. I have a ton of guys that come from like the Hell Let Loose, I guess, regimental side, that have come over here for various reasons, and there's a lot of transferable skills. How to interact with people. How to play well with others. As silly as that sounds, but gameplay mechanics, you can spend 2 hours with somebody and get them up to speed on pretty much everything that's relevant to the game. But it's really, really hard to teach someone not to be an asshole when they're leading.
Yeah, that's true. And like, I can't hold myself back. Like, if I see a regiment deliberately wasting tickets, I'm gonna tell them it straight. I'm not gonna like pussyfoot around. Like sometimes I'll wait until afterwards. And then I'll give them a classic, like little message, or sometimes, if I'm not in the mood, then the Steam chat gets lit up.
If they know they're doing it deliberately, then absolutely. But if it's a genuine mistake, then
oh well, yeah. I'll ask them first, okay.
Like the early cap special from some members of the community.
That's a hell of a throwback.
Yeah, well, that happened on Sunday on the HRE event too.
Let's not go there.
That was annoying. Like we were winning on hookers. We had like a whole morale stage. There was only like 17 minutes left, and they were like a third of a third left to go to breaking, and we were like not even. I think we were like just into engaged, and then we capped the point. I don't know why, and then we didn't hold the point, and then they just got a whole morale stage back, and they were like halfway through engaged with 17 minutes left, and it was done for. On Hooker's Push, it's the worst thing you could possibly do.
That's a tough map.
It is. With the 4-minute run from spawn, it's horrible.
You have to play it right at the beginning to win that map. If you don't play it right, kind of towards the beginning, you're done.
Oh yeah, we were doing really well, and it just went horribly wrong.
I think a big part of success for these small regiments starts in the planning room for events. You know, as much as people like to say, I don't care if I want to lose. I'm just here to play the game. To your average person in a regiment, they want to fucking win. Like, that's why they're here. They joined a regiment to win games and be good at War of Rights. I think that's at least what gets people initially into it, and then they stay for the community. That's been sort of my experience and stuff like that. But if you're taking loss after loss after loss after loss, you will start to see a dip in your numbers. It just happens.
I agree with you, Irish, 100%. I agree with that statement. You got to win.
It doesn't have to be every day all the time, but we do 3 events a week. If God forbid we have an 06 in a week, that's gonna suck. Like, that's really hard to come back from. And it's I think everyone's kind of been there where they just can't get their poop in a group, for lack of a better term. And when you go through like that hard moment of nothing I do is working on the field, my numbers are starting to drop, I think that's when most groups, like, that's the make or break moment for these small units. Even if they're not the main proponent of what happens on the field, they're going to be the ones directly affected by it. Because if you're bringing 20 guys to an event, 50 guys to an event, 70 guys to an event, if you're a large group like OB, like, we can afford to take some losses because we have some wiggle room with numbers. But if you're a smaller group just getting started, you've got your 5, 6, 7 guys, and half your guys leave because they're tired of getting their ass kicked, your regiment's done. Like, most people don't have the mental fortitude to sort of push through that valley to go out on the other side.
I don't know what Tom L is talking about in chat when he says, wouldn't small regiment transfers be healthy for the game in total? And he said, for example, the guy looking for more moving up to a bigger reg and the older fella moving down to take a break. That would work if numbers weren't such a big, important factor in terms of winning. Like, if any of my guys ever complain about this particular regiment doing something, our response is always go recruit. The bigger we are, the less regiments we have to play with, and that's
right.
So if they want to complain, they gotta put their money where their mouth is and go out and recruit. And I'm not gonna take any of their complaints really about other regiments when there's something they can actually do about it that's not complaining. And that's pretty much it. Well, that's mainly when my officers complain. When they enlisted complain, we have to give them a very passive explanation of what happened.
I don't know. Complaining is the easiest way out of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. No, Faticos brings up a good point. What is considered a small unit? So when you guys talk small unit, what are you saying? Like,
I would say 15.
1
to
5.
1 to 5.
15 under.
I would say
I don't know.
10 under. 10 under. 10 under.
10 under.
Around 10.
5 to 10 is a small regiment. I consider like 10 to 20 medium. Anything above 20 is a large group.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's fair.
If you bring over 20, then yeah, you're a big group. I'd say like 8 to 12, 13 is a small, because even if it's like 13 guys, you lose 6 of those ish, and you're almost in skirmishing. You got to be able to, like, if you can lose 50% of your line and not be in skirmishing, then you're not a small regiment.
I think that's a good skill for that. Looking at gameplay mechanics and stuff.
I'm sorry, 15 for a skirmish group is really high. But for like a line infantry, 15 and below, a little rough.
15 is what AMV pulls on Sundays, right?
Hey, I've been there, dude. It's fucking fun with low numbers too.
NA?
Yeah, Sunday NA. Not
yeah,
E.
like NA, my regiment is around, like, infantry-wise, 10 to 15, and then with artillery, we're up to, like, 17 to 20. But, like, EU-wise, we're, like, near 30.
So
just kind of it differs.
We're talking about what you bring to a match, Harkin, not what you have in Discord. Who cares what you have in Discord? It's what's on the
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I have like what 600 members on my Discord. About maybe 150 of those are reps.
Right.
It's I
tends
mean,
to
in my
happen.
in 10th Alabama alone, I think in my 2 companies, I have like 50 to 60 in each of those. So I
Why
have
don't you
like
bring 60 to an event, Killer?
Yeah, I have 100.
Are you a terrible leader? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I have 100. I have 100 plus just in 10th, and that's without like the 1st Alabama, the artillery, and then the 24th guys, and so that doesn't make a big regiment. Because a lot of regiments also don't like Hood's division has over 1,000 people in their Discord. They don't bring 1,000 to an event.
Are you sure?
They do in fact actually bring 1,000 people.
Yeah, I didn't know servers were custom for their regimen yet, but
They just can't apply it to
Don't
every
hit 1,000.
cycle a guy out there.
They take up like 6 servers on their own.
Yeah, because you got to think like regiments. We like to build. We're a War of Rights regiment, but we also like to have a community that plays other games together. So if someone stops playing War of Rights for any particular reason, that doesn't mean that they're out of the Discord, out of the community. So you're gonna have a lot of people in that Discord that don't play War of Rights, but just are there. Like we do a Hell Let Loose event on a Wednesday NA, and like VA in chat, his 2 sons come and play with us who don't play War of Rights, but they come and play Hell Let Loose NA events.
I've seen Killer browbeat people into joining though an event.
Oh yeah, yes.
You want to play this event. You know you want to play it.
I'll get people who haven't played for a year, and I'll bring them in.
So I want to do one quick thing. So IVB's been in field trip. Sevy wanted to say hi quickly. Sevy, Collector, and Royal, I guess, are in the room.
Hey, what's up? Hey, we're calling right
Help
now.
me, help me,
Shut
help
up.
me, send help.
We're calling right now from Fredericksburg, Virginia, and we would like to say that small regiments are horrible for the Irish community. Okay, we can't stay much longer. Royal, what would you like to have to say? Small regiments fucking suck. If you're small, you suck. All right, bye. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Sevy.
Sevy's
Royal Lace just lost his mod
Sevy.
in the War of Rights Discord.
That's totally not inflammatory in any way, shape, or form.
Sevy's just experienced his taste of his first beer, as you can tell.
So
yeah, but hold on. Can I read my boss statement before he gets too mad at me? He's DMing me all the time.
All right, we'll read the bus statement. I got another question then.
All right, he said, small regiments are easy to gaslight and manipulate, and they remind me of my gay bisexual ex-girlfriend, and I want to vor them. That's why I love them. And he also said, Bus is honestly one of the best commanders of all time.
What small group is easy to manipulate with egos and stuff? Like, you can tell Todd Gray what to do over and over and over and over and over and over, and he won't do it. Or if he does do it, it'll be late.
In general.
Todd Gray's his own case.
I mean, that's true.
He's like a unicorn of the community. When you see him, it's majestical.
Honestly, that's a true point. S tier for a reason.
Absolutely.
Another question I do have is, so a couple of minutes ago we were talking about small regiments at that breaking point when they start losing members. Have any of the larger regiments here asked smaller regiments to merge, and how did that go? Because every time
merge with them.
So sorry, let me give an example. So I've been an officer shaft for IVB. I was an officer in the IVB like a year ago or whatever, and I'm still in those comms. But like we'll ask a smaller group to join, and they'll just straight up reject. Like form their own company, or possible like the 63rd New York within the IVB, or a company within the 69th. We'll ask, and they all reject. So I just wondered what your guys.
A lot of them have egos, but I mean, I think 13th did probably 3 mergers before it imploded and went to 3 different regiments. I don't know which of them you would classify as small, but it definitely happens.
I mean, the regiments don't have to be small, I guess, but for the most time, when you ask another regiment to join you, they're generally really small and could form maybe a company on their own.
Yeah, most of them will say no to that. They all think they're going to go somewhere, and I've seen a lot of them go nowhere with it.
Yeah,
I would say no.
I think ego plays a huge part into it, because I think a lot of the reasons these small groups form in the first place is just because like they want to be the guy in charge and they don't want to have to answer to anybody. And when you join underneath a larger, group like, IVB, ANV, OB, Archers Brigade, whatever it is, you're giving away a lot of autonomy that you previously had. And to some people, being autonomous with 3 guys is more important to them than being part of a quote like successful group with 30 guys.
Being under a tyrannical colonel, one might
Yep.
say.
And killer.
Tyrannical gatekeepers. Yep, that's what we all are.
I have to deal with that on a daily basis.
Horrible people.
So sad.
I actually got called a bully the other day.
Yeah, that was really funny.
By Gray's battery.
I'm not surprised.
What?
Yeah, it was my fault too. So.
Yeah, he was like ANV or bullies, and I was like, I'm not a bully. I'm just opinionated.
Oh, right. You know the crazy thing about that, right, is I wasn't there when that whole thing went down in my general chat. By the time I read it, it was like, oh, well,
I fixed it. Don't worry.
That's too late to purge anything, but it is what it is.
Yeah, the mergers that came into our group always seemed to fail.
Well, no, because I mean, Scones, you guys were a merger in ANV.
Yeah, we did. When we were 125th Pennsylvania. Yeah, that worked real well because I wanted time off, and that was here's the thing, is like I have this group of guys who want to play. They're CSA. I can't. Collector came to us and asked if we'd want to join his group, but it was sort of a CSA that I was trying to convert into a union reg. And we had some guys, and I was just like, at this point in time, these guys want to play CSA. And we had played about a month, and to be honest with you, I was burnt out. The time and effort that goes into these regiments, a lot of people don't understand how much time goes into this. And if you're one of the only ones running it, all the event cords you got to go to, especially some of the EU ones that are an hour long, or any of the campaign ones, they're an hour long. They take forever. So when I had a chance, God bless you for all the time you put in, Killer. I was just like, you know what? I'm bringing this group to ANV because I liked VA a lot. I liked Killer. I liked hanging out in their Discord. And it just made it easier on me. Yeah, I could stand Killer. So it was just like, that's when a merge works. When it was just like that.
You guys started as a company, a separate company, and then eventually we just merged you into our NA company. And it kind of just worked. And then, although you are not now ANV because you wanted to go help another regiment start itself up, I still have digital Dayman, and that's all I need.
Yeah, and I'm still a volunteer there, and you know what? I appreciate it because that's a point where the community works, and it's like, oh no, Killer could have kicked me, he could have kicked me out of the Discord, anything like that, and that's his right. But he didn't. I still go there, and I enjoy the people there. It's just I had an opportunity to go to a place where, hey, the original guy I joined with started over again from 9th Corps, and he started the 59th, Tyler. So I'm just like, you know what? This is the first group I ever really joined, was his group. And I have a place to go and move up and do things with, and I want to try to give it a go again. And you know what? Still a lot of work. Still a lot of work.
That's the only problem. That's the only problem with big regiments, is a lot of them are set in stone. So if you have ambitious people, they're not necessarily because in ANV, for example, we've had a lot of people in their positions who've been in their positions for way over a year, because I don't give everybody officer. I don't have multiple companies that have 3 officers in, so then I have just an army of officers.
Hey, we did that.
And that's annoying too, when you see all the people that are NCOs and then there's no privates. It's like, what is the point?
Big tip to every regiment out there: don't start promoting people just randomly. It does not work out, and eventually they all just start to get over ambitious.
In the ass, dude, every 100%. Single time. If you just promote everyone that's hanging out the most or whatever in the Discord and not actually putting in the work, it'll fuck you over in a couple of weeks. It always does.
It took us 2 years for that to fuck us over, but it did get us eventually.
It was a funny 2 years. We had a lot of amusement looking at your situation every day.
I know you did. I mean, I would go and talk to you about our situation almost every day.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Fun.
So, Bus.
Knight's in the chat.
Knight is in the chat. Knight, I'm glad to see you. Bus wants to make a comment. I am going to let him in. Bus.
God damn it.
What's going on, Bus?
Bus said he wants to talk as a small and a large regiment. Let's see what he thinks.
He's both?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so as Killer will attest, I'm someone who brings either in between 8 or 25 to 30, depending on the weekend or the day. Basically, as a small regiment, you should always be constantly basically with the bigger regiment. Like we'll work with 5th NC a lot of the time. If you're a big regiment, you should work to help your fellow. If you're in a brigade like Sussy, you should work to sort of like manipulate and utilize the smaller regiments around you. That's why it's nice being in a group like Sussy, where we bring like 75 to 85 ever since the addition of everybody else.
Right.
You can actually utilize that sort of thing because we now have 69th and HBA to sort of play off of. But basically, when you're big, you got to play off the small one or help play off the small ones, and when you're small, you always need to play off the big ones. There's no other way around it. Also, constant.
Thank you,
I like
Wes, for that.
Yeah, but like, and then you got those small regiments who just go off and do their whole thing for 99.9% of the event.
It's all dependent on the leader. It's all dependent on the leader. Like, I come from a very small skirmish group, 7th South Carolina. The guy who runs it, his name's Gomez, and he's an older guy, but he's a very good guy, and he's destined to be small just because of, I think it's age gap. He's in his 70s, so But if you have a good head on you as a small regimental leader, and you understand, I got these 7 dudes. We may be good shots, but if I go out there to those rocks and skirmish, I'm going to lose all the tickets and piss off the big dudes. You know what I mean? You just have to be smart when it comes to what you're actually doing.
Everybody seems to think they're great shots, but then you'll go and watch it from a Battleline Network perspective, and they miss 98% of the shots they take.
That's why I like Battleline Network, because you can be like, yeah, where's my shots? Where are my shots? Are they? Oh, wow, we suck.
Cordy, do you want to say that a little louder?
Oh, especially for artillery.
I love making fun of artillery, although I've been told to stop.
No, never stop making fun of artillery players. Never stop. Continue.
I love doing Battleline Network. It's so much
Only
fun
all.
all the time.
There's never anybody's ego involved. Everyone just hold hands and sing "Kumbaya," please.
Exactly.
Guys, no.
When we
last Friday.
Yeah, Killer.
Like I'm if I'm on my own doing BLN, I'm horrible to everyone pretty much. Whatever side's losing is getting shit on the whole time. But if I'm with somebody else, there's a bit more of I can take a little breath and let someone else say something constructive.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say that I think more groups should watch the Battleline Network just for looking at what groups are doing. Now, I've heard Killer commentate. I like the way he was talking and shit talking. Well, maybe you know what? Maybe these other groups will get it in their heads. Sevi was another one I listened to, and Sevi was really. And I saw a message that said your commentary is really smart. And if people listen to that, they'd probably do a lot better in their events because he had this whole overall aspect of it when he was commentating on it. But I think if you can, I know it's weird. But I think if you can take that into consideration, and whether your group is small, whether your group is big, I think you can learn from that stuff. And I think if you want to be good at this game, you'll take the time to watch it and see what worked for you and see what you fucked up.
Early days.
Are you
it's
sure?
Like watching film for sports,
Are you sure Sevi didn't convince you to turtle?
No, not at all. It was I completely. It was just like, all right, this guy's intelligent about what he's talking about. Look at the stuff that he's bringing in, what he's saying about the groups and what they're doing, and he's calling out the lunacy of the small groups running in. He's just like, what are you doing?
Sevi is intelligent. He is intelligent, but back in the day, he used to use his intelligence, and his ego used to be the size of a bloody mountain.
Shut up, Killer. You don't get to talk.
No. I would see him in pub matches, right, when he would be officer, and he would stand there for like 5 minutes and explain to everybody what the whole strategy is, why he thinks that strategy is good, and why nobody can really tell him any strategy is different. Because he kind of knew, but now he's just kind of like, if someone disagrees with him, he's like, okay, fuck you. And that's Sevi. That's new Sevi. Old Sevi used to be way more annoying. New Sevi is just annoying.
Dang.
Which is what I like about him. Yeah, but
everything in moderation.
He's a good annoying. I like Sevi.
I like it when he tells people to turtle.
Sevi is a great human.
Listen, I mean, no one likes turtling. No one wants to do it. But if you got to do it to win a game,
there's no acceptability.
You know what? That's okay. Now, if it's now, I will say this. What was the Belgian group back in Grand Campaign? That NSK. Now, if you're an NSK and you can only lose 30 tickets and you don't want to fight the whole match and sit in the back and you're gonna waste time, well then no, screw that. Go out and
God,
play the
Grand
game.
Campaign.
Don't
Grand
waste the
Campaign.
time. Just go
And
out
then-
there, die, lose your tickets, whatever. Fight the match, and you're
Yeah.
wiped. If you only got 30 tickets to lose, 40 tickets to lose, no one wants to waste their afternoon sitting in the back of a, sitting in the whole back of the
Ninth
map.
goal getting the NSK token killed in Grand Campaign. That pretty much ended GC right there. That was it. Until I restarted it. Grand Campaign Remastered. You should all join it, even if you're a North American regiment.
Was that the one that like ended in the Union quitting or something?
No,
Yes.
everyone,
yes, it did,
that's
yes.
where
the CSA was hella toxic.
Mhm.
And the guy who was in the campaign, like he had all these rules, and we would just keep making rules and rules and rules. And then anytime the rules were broken, he would be like, "Okay, well you two need to go and talk about it because I'm not getting involved." And
Oof.
that kind of didn't help anything.
No, that does not help at all. One
No,
quick
it
thing,
doesn't.
if anyone watching has any questions for anyone on the panel that are related to War of Rights, please put them in the chat. We'll start answering those soon.
I love how we had to add the.
Oh yeah, you had to emphasize that to Cater, didn't you?
Yeah.
And there he goes.
Or anything that's not related to War of
Cater,
Rights.
I love your profile picture. It's phenomenal.
No, Cater, I'm not.
The little ducky. Do you guys think? One question while we wait to see if any more questions come in. Do you think smaller regiments do a good job of retaining people to continue playing War of Rights?
I would say, if you have a core group of guys and you're able to cultivate that because, maybe you guys came from a different game before War of Rights or you just, hit it off immediately. There's a group in OB called 65th Illinois. It's not the one in TNA. But it's been the same group of guys in that unit coming to every event for like 3 years, and none of them have gone anywhere. Like with a unit like that, when you're kind of laid back and there's not a whole lot of like political tension and you're just there to play the game, absolutely. But if you're like in the weeds with, quote unquote politicking or whatever, that can burn you out very quickly. If you're not interested in growing super big, then you're able to sort of cultivate a small, intimate community. But if you're interested in growing big and you're not growing, that's going to cause a lot of tension between you and your guys, and they probably won't stick around for it.
Politicking is what keeps me in the game.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
I love just when someone complains about me, and then I'm just like right in their face.
You're the bad guy.
I don't know about that, man.
I'm actually really nice.
It seems like you usually just sit there and try to, I don't know.
I have to
bounce
say
around
this a lot. I have to say this a lot, okay? But I'm actually really, really nice guy. Don't take what I say in here seriously.
I don't know. You kind of cheat in what's it called?
Oh, yeah, I cheat in Pick a Patrol.
Yeah, you guys can't play Pick a Patrol with Killer out here. He will cheat.
How do you cheat?
Yeah, how do you cheat? How do you cheat?
He breaks all the rules by having 2 more people than the allowed unit size or something.
Oh.
So there used to be rules where it was like if you're over 20, you had to split into 2 lines, and those 2 lines couldn't be within 100 yards of each other.
How do you measure that?
I don't question it. But if you're separate regiments, so say like OB and 59th, if they're like 2 separate units, they can still be however close they want. They could be 1 line of 50 if they wanted to be. But my 20 to 25 guys had to stay 100 yards apart, which didn't make any sense. So, and I was.
It was an anti-killer rule.
It was a very, very weird rule.
Yeah, but I was the only regiment that was that big at the time. But now there's quite a few regiments that are getting up to that 20-ish mark, and sometimes over, that I get away with it now. That was one of them, and then there was other little rules that apparently I broke, and it was always my fault that I broke the rules. Honestly,
Well, yeah,
nobody
because
else.
you're a cheater.
Even though nothing could be proven that it was my fault or anyone else's fault, it was always my fault because I'm the big unit on the other team.
Or the random fun mode map where you weren't supposed to load and fire on people, and then you just shoot them because they were cheating anyways.
Oh
But,
yeah, so yeah, I got wrong for cheating because it was a melee only round, but my guys had loads, and I'm going up to talk to one of their guys to organize how we're gonna do this, and then I get killed by one of the Union guys.
So I
right?
had to
And
shoot him.
then-
It was required. I had to shoot him.
So then Scoins shot that guy, Another guy on the Union side shot at us, and then all my guys that had loads just killed them all. And
Let's go.
We weren't intending a shoot, but Gareth specifically told people, just load your rifles because you know they're gonna load them anyway. And they did. So, you know, hey. It's not cheating, it's called preparing for the worst.
I didn't even know Cater played Picket Patrol.
Kid is a troll.
He's been asking the same question for this entire hour.
And it will
not the single one. It's the other one.
What's the other one?
I did answer it.
Oh, you did? So
yeah.
Well, there you go, Cater. So one question we did get in the chat. If you have a question, put them down. We'll keep answering them for a little bit. What do you guys get for winning? I guess
Nothing.
as Reg leaders.
Pride.
Yeah, pride.
Bragging rights.
Yeah, bragging rights, pride. I don't know, the ability to tell somebody they suck.
No, like
my guys had a good time, and that's all that matters to me.
Typing GG in event cord after the event feels so much better.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
I play the game to lose, personally.
Yeah, no, why do you play the game to lose? Like, if you're not playing the game to win, like, just because you play the game to win, it doesn't mean you always have to win. Like, you can still lose and be like, I was happy with that loss. It was a close game. You know, no one likes being shit on, but also, if you fight it out the whole time and it's super close, then you lose it down to a technicality or a mischarge or whatever, and you know, it is what it is. You lost, but you still had a lot of fun doing it. But even if you play to win, it doesn't mean that you have to win to enjoy the game.
I think.
But people just take that as like you play to win, so that means if you don't win, you didn't have fun.
I think, especially in OB, we kind of think of winning and losing. You know, obviously there's some maps that are gimme maps like Hook's Counterattack or Boulevard Camp Redoubt for the CSA. I mean, those are just given maps. But I do like to put a lot of effort into maps that you can't win, like Boulevard Camps, and like we won Cooks for the first time in over a year in GOA a couple weeks ago. And that was probably some of the best feeling, you know, in recent times that I had about winning a map. And we also played.
I was bricked
Boulevard
up.
Camp, dude. We unfortunately there was a bit of an imbalance. We would have won if we had an actual, you know, because it was halfway through when the imbalance happened. But you know, and that's the real reward for people who run the events. You know what I mean? And just knowing that you're have the privilege of you know, leading a good set of guys who are, you know, you can call your friends. A lot of people call these regiments and communities their home, and it matters to them. You know what I mean? A lot of people, like earlier when the IVP boys in there, they meet up in real life. They're friends in real life. You know, it's just
we got an OB meetup at the end of July.
That's true, but you know, it's just trying to grow into something better. You know, to be a part of, I guess.
I like winning because debrief is a lot shorter because everyone's not going to go over every grain of goddamn sand. That's what I like. To be like, all right, good job, guys. Fuck off. I'm going to go play BattleBit or whatever it is.
I hate event debriefs in general. I think like I'll you know, even with my guys, we don't really debrief. I just say good job, you know, and then I tell them like if there's any important announcements, and then we split off and that's it. But I just don't like event debriefs. It's just annoying. Like,
what do you actually say, Killer?
If
like
someone
within
has
your
like,
own
if
unit,
someone,
or
no, like within like an event,
A
like
whole group.
yeah, like a whole event debrief, like GOA or like HRE or something. I just don't like them because like if someone has a problem with what happened in that event, there should just be a channel. Or if someone has a suggestion, there's always a suggestion channel, and there's
That's
always the
always your
general
staff
chat
channel.
where everyone says, "GG's, good games, nice working with so and so unit." And that's it. That's you don't know like because some of these debriefs can last for ages, and it's just like, oh, it's long.
that's when you have to
hella
give them an
long.
Irish goodbye where you just leave without saying anything.
Oh well, I just like. It just depends because like I'm near the top of the list, so if they go from top to bottom, it's easy because as soon as I do my debriefs thing, I'll just like start watching YouTube again. But like, because then I'll be like slightly listed in the background. But if they go from bottom to top, I have to sit there and wait for like 30 minutes, and it's just it can be long.
So next question we got: what's worse, a bad regiment of 10 to 15 people, or a bad regiment with 20 to 30 people?
10 to 15.
20 to
20 to 30. Bro, you guys at least get a charge. I mean, if they suck, you can at least hopefully get them in a charge. 10 to 15 people, they're going to be dying out of line sometimes, skirmishing.
I'm thinking one in particular.
I'd rather take the. There's plenty of awful, bad, big units.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna say there's one group that I might like the person leading it, but I don't necessarily like when I get put on their group because I know they're just gonna blow tickets away. They're just gonna blow. They're gonna blow them. They're gonna go charge. They're gonna do whatever they want to do. They're not gonna work within the confines of the group, and you don't got a shot of winning.
Because you got to think a bad regiment of 20 to 30 might be a regiment that's slow to reinforcing charges or slow, like doesn't really get in the right positions. And a skirmish regiment is easy because there's always going to be a bigger unit that can kind of pick up the slack for that small unit messing up. But if there's a big unit of 20 to 30, that's like sometimes a quarter of your team not doing what they should be doing.
It's just a numbers game. It's a lot harder to recover from 5% of your team sucking balls than it is from 50% of your team from sucking balls.
A bad 10 to 15 man regiment can always be fixed in terms of if a bigger regiment of 20 to 30 can pick up the slack for that 15 man unit, then it's easy. But a 15 man unit can't necessarily pick up the slack for a 20 to 30 man unit messing up.
A bad small group is like a slow bleed, and a big bad group is like getting stabbed in the chest and kneed in the face.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
So you see it coming, but nothing you can do
Ain't
about
a
it.
damn thing. Yep, you're
fucking punched. Yeah.
Mhm.
The easier way out of this question, just be better.
Real issue.
Just watch the Battle Line Network tutorials and you'll get better at the game.
Yeah, sure.
Whoa, Shade. Whoa.
I mean, his name is Shade for a reason, I think, because he's throwing it.
He is throwing some
Day
shade.
shade. Day shade.
We spent the whole summer making.
I'm not day shade in this Discord. That's a different Discord killer. Come on, man.
Day shade. But yeah, that appears to be all the questions that I can see. Great podcast tonight. I enjoyed it a lot. Good conversation. So yeah, we're gonna go through everyone. If you want to plug something, feel free. Everyone who's in this podcast is in the description below, so look at that and you can check out their socials there. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the join button beneath the video to become a member with this channel. You can get videos before everyone else. So let's go through everyone quickly, do a little outro. Chris Moto.
Thanks for watching, guys.
You got Irish?
I have grown to very much enjoy these talks, and I'm super glad that we got to get into the nitty-gritty of certain groups. Thank you for having me. Yeah, that's it.
Scoins?
Thanks for having me. Had a good time, good talk, and a lot of different points of view. So it was a great talk.
Shade?
Artie is not worth the manpower. That is all.
The BLN slogan outside of reporting live. Killer.
Yee Zaza, God Save the King, and also I'm not coming back until Kate is banned from your YouTube channel.
I agree, actually. Can we boycott that?
Can we just like time him out forever, please?
Boycott.
Yeah, can you like ban him from this Discord too?
Man.
I feel like he's probably scared away at least 10 of your viewers.
Probably.
Has he? I don't, yeah, there was one comment about it. We will see. But free boot. Heck yeah. We also got Corded.
Yeah, I'm also still here. I had a good time. Nice talks.
Corded made no memes this time. That is a difference.
We didn't talk about turtling too much.
Too much.
Let's talk about it now.
Oh, we already did. So.
Yeah, we'll see you in the after show on BattleLineNetwork.com. No.
When we played fucking Sunday NA a couple weeks ago,
we
I said in the strategy chat, I was like, Pilot, he plays like it's 2020. He's not gonna turtle. And you guys turtled on not a Sherrick form.
We gotta keep you on your toes.
Yeah, did you stand up to Pappy P then and be like, you shouldn't be turtling, Pilot? No, you didn't. So I don't want to hear anything about it.
Hey,
Sorry.
I
Sorry.
can't change Pilot's mind ever. He's the stubborn motherfucker.
That's true, but it's okay, we won anyway. We just had to sit there for 15 minutes and cry about turtling before I was just like, could we just charge behind the
I
the ball,
just
please?
started playing an episode of Bob Ross.
Turtling is for people who are scared to lose.
Yep.
I agree. That's why I'm not a shark when we're CSA. Ninja, you'll remember this. Where all of the rest of the CSA, all of Sussy, went and hid behind spawn and Auto Shark in the forest, and we were like an inch away from breaking, and me and Ninja just said, "Fuck it." So we just charged out of the barn, listening to some wild music, shouting "Aaron a boo," and it was a great video.
So
Yeah, but it's still lost, and a lot of us weren't happy with it.
Oh no, oh bloody hell, no! Me and Bus and Zapstar had a full-on argument in the Steam chat, and then one of my guys joined the Steam chat and then streamed it for my Discord so they could all hear us having a big commotion.
I love
in the
it.
Steam chat. Yeah, it was great. It was funny as hell. We got a good video out of it, and we had fun. Everyone else didn't have fun, but you know what? We had fun, and that's all that I care about.
Fair enough. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you in BL on Wednesday tomorrow. If not, have a good rest of your week, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, GG's.
So when are we banning Cater? When can we expect